What is up, rebel colonists and Mars citizens? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are concluding Frozen Teardrop Volume 12. Last time Relina City was attacked, so Relina turned herself in. While being transferred to the Mars Southern Confederacy, she looks over the perfect Zex files. Little Hiro went on his own after the death of Odin Lowe, and Dr. J made him fight against his clone. This time, Hiro gets into Snow White and uses the Seven Dwarfs system. We continue through the Zex files where Sally finds her mother Catherine, and Vaunt finally tells us his plan. So let's get into this. MC-0022, next winter, Scheherazade and Prometheus stop Hiro in the presidential transport. Trowa and Duo dismiss Hiro and don't listen to him. That is when a giant capsule drops down in between the mobile suit and Hiro. It is Snow White. Scheherazade uses the Jambias on the glass coffin. Prometheus uses the crucifix cannon. The book just says that Hiro escapes the crossfire before getting into the cockpit, but I like to think that he did a triple axel and a double backflip before perfectly landing into Snow White, all while dodging the bullets. Get on his level. He instantly preps Cybin's word, Grun. This is the Green Arrow, which is a plant-based attack. It creates vines around the target it hits, slowing the enemy down. He fires upward into the skies. A green aurora appears. What will this attack do? We'll find out later because we have to dive back into the Zex files. What a tease! AC-189. A young orphan boy is fighting as a rebel. In between battles, this no-name kid is reading The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde. His commander, named Doomed Roberto, informs him that they are getting Leos, and No Name will get one too. The commander has an old Oscar Wilde book he could have. A few days later, he receives a Leo and Oscar Wilde's Dorian Gray. He said he got this book because of a cute nurse named Marlene Darlian. This is Relina's adopted mother. He mentions that unfortunately she is already married, and she seems to be the woman that got away. Their Leos are specifically chimeras. He quotes Dorian Gray. "Are you making me read a book while reading a book?" He relates to Dorian, but unlike him, he hopes to become an adult and control his destiny. He is called into action. At the lunar poles, we follow Lieutenant Ginter and Ensign Cordelia Fitzgerald investigating a crater. Remember, this is who will become Lady Un. She has been obsessed over looking at money going in and out on the moon to see where a potential fortress, the Peace Million, could be built. She did this all while doing pilot training. Cordelia launches with 10 Leos and 5 Tragos. They make it to the crater and scan the area to find a metallic runway underneath the surface and no signs of life. They assume it is an abandoned runway and withdraw. Cordelia thinks her calculations were incorrect, but she wasn't wrong. Once they left, the engineers went back to work. It wasn't a runway, but in fact, it is actually the Peace Million. Mike Howard made it 10 times bigger than the original blueprints. She wasn't looking for something so big, and it was hidden in plain sight. Professor G helped out with thermal jamming. Underground, on the moon, Alpha and Beta begin their training. Beta is little Hiro Yui, aka Odin Lowe Jr. Alpha had an advantage, but then Dr. J used the trace program and gave Alpha all of Beta's memories, including Aoi Clark's death. After that, they were entirely equal, proving to Beta that memories slow you down. Stupid dead mom in my brain. It went from training to the kids just trying to kill one another. Jay started color coordinating the boys. Alpha gets a black tank top, and Beta gets a green. Did you want a backstory on how Hiro got his tank top? It's the dice and the Millennium Falcon all over again. Jay reminds the two kids that they are just weapons, and if they don't like that, then they should kill him. So the kids try to kill him. Jay shocks them and says, "You fools! This is my patented shock tank top." He says they will now begin mobile suit training at the Hertzsprung Crater Spaceport. Liao Ya, Hudi, Duo, and Mei-Lan eat synthetic food, which is sadly the best thing that Duo has ever eaten. Their plan is to explode General Dotson. They know he has a fear of heights and will travel by ground transport, and they will intercept. Duo wants to have the honors of pulling the trigger. Duo notices Dr. Catherine Poe being dragged and pursues. Zex and Elev are disguised and stashing their machine. They are protecting Sally and Iria and are tailing Neuenheim Konzern. They are also looking into the Barton Foundation. Everyone is converging to take Catherine. This isn't going to end pretty. Papa Long sees Catherine being dragged by Neuenheim. That is when bullets start going off. It is the Barton Foundation. They also have Leos. Gundanium mobile suits fight off the Leos. Long heard of Gundams from his friend Wu Wang Long, now Master O. He decides not to kill and shoots people in the foot. This will metaphorically shoot him in the foot. Sally climbs out of Prometheus, I believe, and gets out to grab her mother. As she runs towards her, a bullet hits Catherine. She apologizes to Sally for not being very motherly and says that Sally is her greatest masterpiece. She dies in her arms. People have such poetic timing of deaths in this universe. They think it was a fluke, but it would require a precision hit. Long shot a man earlier. The man limps over and steals General Dotson's buggy and takes off. As he takes off, the buggy instantly blows up. Long regrets not killing people. It led to Catherine's death and prevented Dotson from exploding. He says if you spare evil, it will always return in vengeance. Duo realizes he just killed a random Barton soldier. MC-0022, next winter. The light shines green, then vines surround both Scheherazade and Prometheus. How does shooting directly up fire on their mobile suits specifically? They can't cut through the vines fast enough, and they are immobilized. Hiro tells them not to interfere with Relina, or none of them will live. Noin is piloting the presidential cruiser when Vaunt Crucianata comes on the comms. He calls Noin by her first name, Lucrezia. Only Miliardo calls her that. Vaunt tells her to relinquish Hiroyui or they will attack Relina City once again. Remember, Vaunt became vice director and acting representative of the Foundation and helped create Oz. Trace assumed command after his death and lives the rest of his life burdened, feeling like a loser for not saving him. Oh, is that why it's called Glory to the Losers? Vaunt calls humans imperfect, and the perfect peace program can't exist in this imperfection. He wants to create a world where the imperfect die out. Once Mars is unified with perfection, they will declare war on Earth. He says that his brother would have wanted this. Hiro cuts in and says that he is wrong. Leaders, specifically Trace, would never push their own ideals onto others. That is the difference between Vaunt and Trace. Trace truly is the ultimate wish fulfillment of what real leaders should be, if only. Noin thinks to herself, I don't think I've heard Hiro say so many words at one time. Vaunt says we meet again to Hiro. They met when they were kids, but Hiro says they never met because he knows he is a clone. He wonders if he could prove that he isn't a spare like him. Vaunt says neither the Zero System nor the Heart of Space can predict his actions. Hiro then predicts his actions by saying Volcanus. This is Disnoof's factory. He knows that the two are working together. Taken aback, Vaunt cuts off the comms. Oh, he rage quit. This humiliation was all calculated to prevent Vaunt from knowing Snow White has the Zero System. This distraction allows Zero to figure out where Vaunt's coordinates are. They continue towards Babel. AC-189. Autumn, Elev, and Zex link up with Artemis. Iria went to Mars to track the cloning samples that Neuenheim stole. Sally Poe enlisted in the military to get revenge on the Barton Foundation, which is actually the real reason why she enlisted. Iria has the Magwanaut core to help with security. The two boys' next mission is to infiltrate the barge as supply troops and provide them with fertilizer. Most is fertilizer, but some is laced with a weaponized anesthetic. Also pretending to be agricultural workers is Duo and the Long family. Papa Long goes on a rant about not using tools as weapons. But I don't know, man. That isn't a problem for Americans. Duo asks what makes a warrior. Long says it is in the eyes. Huji mentions that she is betrothed to someone from the Chang family. Mei Lan rejects arranged marriage. Well, then you will love your future. Also, you are dead. Long gets access to a compact rocket mortar, explosive charges, and the desflurane, the anesthetic that they're using. Bro just went on a rant about not using tools as weapons, but then he conceals his weapons with tools. I don't understand your rules, Long family. They wait to strike. AC-189. The two heroes, Alpha and Beta, continue fighting each other in mobile suits, which are early model Leos. These are the early Leos Sace Clark helped build. His stepdad and the one who gave Hiro the toy Leo when he was a kid. Why did Dr. J give this to him? After Leo training, J then gives Alpha Proto Zero and Beta Wing Gundam. Like basic bitch Wing Gundam to boot, he gives them beam sabers. Beta asks about the Leo. Alpha responds by slicing the Leo in half with the beam saber. Suck it, childhood memories. Jay says that the Gundams reach a state of godhood. As gods, they shouldn't remain mindless killers. But that is their choice. Dr. Jade tosses the switch for their electronic tank tops and gives the two free will. Neither really react. At L5, Cheng Wufei attends school. He is just 14. This is where he meets Master O. He tells him that school doesn't fit him and he should pilot a Gundam that he is making. He says, hey man, are you just talking to me because I'm the only other Asian guy here? AC-190, Spring. Cordelia thinks something is up with the supply run, but she is too late. The anesthetic wafted into the air ducts and she goes to sleep. Before passing out, she could smell it in the air and says, "Knew it." General Dotson gets into the elevator and Duo corners him, pretending to be lost. He pulls out a pistol and puts a bullet through his skull. Duo and the Long sisters make their escape into space, but Long stays behind. During Long's rant, he mentions that dragging an innocent civilian into war is worse than mass murder, so he helps. Duo has to leave him behind. The assassination of Dotson sparks the Second Lunar War, MC0022. Next winter, Noin reflects on Milliardo and the Second Lunar War. As Relina continues looking at the files, Babel comes into their view. If she doesn't surrender soon, Relina City will be destroyed. And that will conclude Volume 12 of Frozen Teardrop and the Concerto and Serendipity arc. We now know Vant's plan for total domination through chaotic pacifism, which is just survival of the fittest on steroids. Wu Fei is betrothed to Hu Di, but falls onto Mei Lan if she dies. So I guess we're just waiting for that inevitability. Next time, we have done it, everyone. We have finally made it to the final volume of Frozen Teardrop. The nameless boy meets Dr. S. Trace discovers an old language created by Hiroyui. We see the outbreak of the Second Lunar War, and the Barton Foundation unleashes an attack in what is called Operation Sagitta. But that will do it for now, losers. Remember, chaotic peace is just violence with a good PR team. Peace.